Mr. Beat presents.
Today we are getting into Mr. Beat's 2024 presidential election video. This is an amazing recap on everything that has happened during the Biden presidency, but also going into the election. And this covers absolutely everything. I'm really excited to watch this. I love his other videos. This is a amazing creator, and I think he gives a pretty neutral, honest take, and I just think it's hilarious too. So with that being said, let's get it.
Presidential elections in American history.
The 60th presidential election in American history took place on November 5th, 2024. Never before had so many Americans been so confidently wrong about so many things. This was the misinformation age, when facts no longer mattered, as it was so easy to find plenty of evidence that backed up your feelings. And the COVID-19 pandemic had only made all this worse. Just like the previous president, Donald Trump, Joe Biden was very unpopular and old. Yeah, really old. One of his first major accomplishments, withdrawing all remaining troops in Afghanistan, didn't go so well. By the end of his first year in office, inflation dramatically went up. The next year, prices continued to skyrocket. It was the worst inflation in more than 40 years. Not only that, things got chaotic at the southern border with Mexico as more undocumented immigrants entered the country, raising new concerns about border security and more bad stuff getting into the country. Heck, the entire world got more chaotic after Russia invaded Ukraine and after Hamas and other Palestinian militants from the Gaza Strip attacked Israel, ultimately leading to the Gaza War. Many Americans criticized Biden for stirring things up further by pushing for aid to both Ukraine and Israel.
Brandon, you also told me, as you can hear the chants from the crowd, let's go, Brandon.
Yeah, as it turns out, they were not saying, let's go, Brandon, but that became a not so sneaky way of expressing hate of Joe Biden. Soon the meme was everywhere, but some Biden supporters eventually co-opted it to praise him. The meme Dark Brandon specifically praised Biden when he apparently went even further to the left politically. Speaking of which, Biden arguably pushed the country further left more so than any president since Richard Nixon by passing important laws like the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, the CHIPS and Science Act, the Inflation Reduction Act, and the Respect for Marriage Act. The Biden administration went after Big Pharma to lower prescription drug costs and went after big tech monopolies. Heck, he even became the first president to join workers on strike. Still, while the economy overall was strong, extreme wealth inequality had only gotten worse, with just a small number of billionaires increasingly using their power to influence politics. So yeah, Biden was old and unpopular, but it's all good because his main political opponent was almost as old and unpopular as he was. Uh-oh, we got a rematch. Guess who's back? Donald's back. Donald Trump remained an extremely controversial figure in American politics, and he now faced not one, not two, not three, but 4 criminal indictments. New York charged Trump for faking his business records in order to hide hush money paid to an adult film actress named Stormy Daniels to cover up an alleged affair he had with her. A jury found him guilty, making him the first American president to ever become a convicted felon. Next, the federal government charged Trump with stealing classified documents after he left office. Here's a famous photo of some of them sitting in his bathroom. The United States charged Trump with breaking the Espionage Act, making false statements, and obstructing justice. Oh, but the feds weren't done yet. They then charged Trump with attempting to overturn the results of the 2020 presidential election. And finally, Georgia charged Trump with organizing a conspiracy to overturn the results of the 2020 presidential election in the state. Whew, did I get it all? Despite facing dozens of felonies and decades of potential prison time, Trump decided to run for president a fourth time. Critics of Trump said he seemed to only be running for three main reasons: to keep his fortune, to stay out of prison, and to get revenge on his enemies. Due to Trump's involvement with the January 6th Capitol attack, many states tried to get him off the ballot. However, the Supreme Court ruled this unconstitutional in the case Trump v. Anderson. Trump's fans remained astoundingly loyal to him, viewing any accusation against Trump as more evidence that anyone they didn't like was out to get him.
You're not going to be a dictator, are you? I said, no, other than day one.
Don't worry, he was just joking, I think. Although many Americans didn't think he was, they, legit thought he wanted to be a dictator and get rid of the Constitution. Trump once again campaigned on border security while also calling for massive deportations of undocumented immigrants and even legal immigrants. He also called for higher tariffs and bringing back the spoils system to.
One thing I'll say is when he says legal immigrants, this is part of they consider them legal, even though they're still undocumented, still entered illegally. But they're just saying that they're asylees, even if they don't really have a country of war that they're fleeing from. So I just want to add that kind of little things like that kind of messed with me a little bit.
To reward loyalists with government jobs. Because both Trump and Biden were weak candidates, they both faced opponents within their own political party when trying to get renominated. Two notable folks who challenged Biden for the nomination were Dean Phillips, a U.S. representative from Minnesota, and Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the son of Robert F. Kennedy, whose own presidential campaign was cut short in 1968 after he was assassinated. Like his father, RFK Jr. generally leaned to the left politically, but had controversial views on vaccines and public health. On the Republican side, Trump's biggest two opponents were Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, and Nikki Haley, who served as ambassador to the United Nations during Trump's first term. They didn't stand much of a chance. Trump was as popular as ever. He chose J.D. Vance, a U.S. senator from Ohio, as his running mate. After Biden became the presumptive nominee for the Democrats, RFK Jr. carried on his campaign as an independent with Nicole Shanahan, a wealthy philanthropist from California, as his running mate. RFK Jr. attracted a passionate following, consistently polling between 8 and 10%. It was a unique coalition featuring both former Democrats and former Republicans who all generally didn't trust the government. However, by the summer of 2024, RFK Jr.'s campaign had lost momentum. That summer began with the first major debate between Biden and Trump. Biden notably struggled during it, trailing off at times, giving confusing answers, and saying things like,
"We finally beat Medicare."
Oh, yeah, his debate performance didn't convince many voters that he could handle the most difficult job in the world for 4 more years. After this, many Democrats called for Biden to drop out of the race, and to the shock of many Americans, he did just that. On July 21st, just 107 days before the election, he announced on social media that he was withdrawing his bid for re-election and endorsing his vice president, Kamala Harris, to be president. For Biden, it was Jover. A week before that, a man from the roof of a nearby building fired multiple shots of bullets at Donald Trump as he spoke at a rally near Butler, Pennsylvania. Trump survived the assassination attempt, though one of the bullets hit his right ear. The bullets killed one audience member and critically injured 2 others. The dramatic event ended up making Trump look heroic. I mean, look at that photograph. Look at that photograph. It was immediately iconic. It was the most serious attempt to kill a president or presidential candidate since the attempted assassination of Ronald Reagan in 1981. On September 15th, another man tried to assassinate Trump while he golfed in Florida. By that time, RFK Jr. had suspended his campaign to endorse Trump. Whoa, this arguably gave a boost to Trump's campaign. Meanwhile, Democrats all pretty much went along with Kamala Harris as the next logical choice to run for president now that Biden had dropped out. She chose Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota, as her running mate.
Had to have been the worst possible pick she ever could have done. But, you know, it's good for us, so I'm cool with it. Keep picking people like this.
The Harris-Walz ticket breathed new life into the Democratic Party. At the only debate between Harris and Trump, Harris performed much better than Biden. Now it was Trump who was rambling and giving confusing answers, saying stuff like,
They're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets.
despite a weaker debate performance, Trump continued to be a marketing genius with notable publicity stunts to troll Kamala Harris. Trump also gave more long-form, unscripted interviews on non-traditional media, on podcasts and YouTube videos. You've heard of YouTube, haven't you? Not only that, Trump also had the richest man in the world now on his side, Elon Musk, who spent hundreds of millions of dollars and used Twitter, which he now owned, to help Trump win. This was the first presidential election in which artificial intelligence, or AI, played a significant role in the campaigns. So many AI-generated images made the rounds on social media, fooling many people. In the final days of her campaign, Kamala Harris seemed to be reaching out more to former Republicans and abandoning more left-leaning Democrats who were not happy with Biden's position on the Gaza war. Many remained cautiously hopeful that she could be the first female president.
But we are not going back. We are not going back. Not going back. We're not.
And here are the results. Oh, we went back all right. Donald Trump won, becoming the 47th president in American history. Trump received 312 electoral votes and 49.8% of the popular vote. Harris got 226 electoral votes and 48.3% of the popular vote. Trump became only the second president in American history to be elected to 2 non-consecutive terms in office. The other being Grover Cleveland. Don't you remember, punk? J.D. Vance became the 50th vice president in American history. And this is very important. He became the first vice president with facial hair since Charles Curtis, who left office nearly 100 years prior. Trump became the oldest president ever elected in American history as soon as he was sworn in, breaking the record set just 4 years prior. So, yeah, Trump didn't go to prison. He went back to the White House. And despite his flaws, it was still worth it for many Americans to give him another chance. At the very least, this was another chance to stick it to the establishment. Populism was back, man. I'll see you for the next presidential election, buddy.
I really think that was a great video and overall pretty neutral on exactly what happened. And for the most part, it was all facts. And I really love how in-depth he really does get. I mean, it's been a incredible long time and looking forward to seeing the next one, right? 2028 is going to be pretty awesome and looking pretty solid, in my opinion. We got a lot of heavy hitters. Democrats have absolutely nobody in leadership. And it's getting so bad that they're even asking Jon Stewart to try to run for president. And overall, who knows? I mean, he definitely is a little bit more centrist than everybody else, but he's still very left. So we'll see. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Most importantly, share Smooth Unfiltered.